right now introducing Lisa Piercy from FlatLine Poetry. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi, Lisa.
So I'm actually here with my team. I'm going to shift this so you can see them.
Hello.
Wow.
Yes.
So that's my team. I think that when Brian asked me to do this a few days ago, and I thought about like how I was going to enter this conversation or whatever, I actually thought back to the opportunity collaboration where we first met. And someone who I really admire and respect, who's there every year, actually put together a group and asked us all why we do what we do. And I realized that I was actually really lucky to kind of grow up in a household that talked about giving from second one of kind of when I was born and my entire life. But then when I entered my adult life, I had to figure out what that meant for myself.
Yes.
So I actually teach spoken word poetry with a nonprofit organization in Boston called Mission Safe. I work with youth in Roxbury and in Charlestown. And when I started teaching, something that became very true very quickly is something that I think all teachers will say, which is you can try and teach your students, but you learn more from your students than you can ever teach them.
I love it.
And I had that teachable moment last year when the Boston Marathon bombing happened in Boston. I did a processing event at Wheelock College where I'm a student for the students here, because a lot of the students had been there, and we processed it together and wrote about it and talked about it and had this conversation around it. And I walked into my classroom expecting to do the same thing with my students, and they gave me like a huge reality check. So this poem, I'm gonna actually stand and spit this poem for you guys, but this poem is about sort of the reality that my students gave me when I walked in, like ready to, process the marathon bombing with them. So it's called Fireworks, and I'm just gonna get up and do it for y'all really quick.
All right, drum roll, please.
Yes.
All right. So this is called Fireworks. I sat quiet. Felt cold, ripple through hallways, saw anger, tossed out like tissues, remembered September's first class. How inside those four walls, my students bit back truth, choked down painful words and chewed curses. With laughter, their pens hesitated. Mouths repeated lyrics, ears had digested. They were so timid then, but now they are never anxious, always testing, expecting the Monday when I no longer show up because, let's face it, they tell me, that's what you people do this class. I start with a smile and leave with a headache. I swore I would never abandon them, but then someone put bombs in our streets, lit up the sky, and made death sound like fireworks. Then I found myself unable to be with them. Then I yearned for my four walls, for my classroom headaches, for those young faces that I knew would have something to say about all this. When I got there, they didn't need me. These barely past puberty pillars stood angry, said, violence happens every day for us, said, it plays out on the stages of front porches, street corners, school hallways, said, stop. We don't want to hear about the Boston Marathon bombing, said, we don't want to talk about the Boston Marathon bombing, said, we don't want to write about your Boston Marathon bombing, said, stop. I sat still, wishing I could give 2 hours of freedom in one poetry class in that moment. I no longer cared about bombs sounding like fireworks, for theirs is an entire past of fireworks. I stopped trying to process and heal and started to listen. As they wrote of the uncle taken, brother dead, father absent, wound lips with singing alcohol tongue, the only lesson learned was how to make a drink without too many parts rum, and I realized that as this city cried tragedy, my students looked out their windows and saw peace. Because that day Boston suffered, they lived for one moment on the safer streets, and when their eyes say thank you to a bomber, I wonder, why isn't this city telling stories, having its candlelit vigils all year round? I walked back to my college that day, ears open, eyes wide, fear real, stared into a splintered mirror, recognized the million lessons I had yet to learn, tried to care as adult pens, scribbled with the painful Monday that took their safety, tried to care about what it meant to be unsafe for the first time. These people, I thought, are safe already. And already safety shouldn't be happenstance, shouldn't be lucky, should be always. I want to keep everyone safe. I can't keep everyone safe. I'll try to keep everyone safe. I'll keep my students safe for 2 hours of every poetry class. And if you use your ears and try to listen, then maybe this is how we start giving back.
Wow. Well done. Chills,
Lisa.
tears.
Oh my goodness.
I feel like I should snap. I have on the right hat now.
Just amazing.
Yes,
Just
snapping.
Well
That's
done.
the
Yes,
culture of it
snaps.
all.
Tell us, we've got an opportunity here to just kind of, interpret more about what you're saying and the real message that kind of came from, that creation.
Yeah, I think for me, and in thinking about this conversation, I think that what I wanted to add to it is the fact that I think step one, my students taught me that step one is listening. We can talk about giving, we can show up and say like, hi, I want to give something, I want to help, I want to do all this work, but at the end of the day, like, if you're not listening to the people that you're trying to help, you're not going to do any helping. Because I walked into my classroom ready to process with them something that I thought had affected them, and they wanted to write about the stuff that they've been writing all year long, and they wanted somebody to listen to that, and not to tell them what mattered to them, but to listen to what mattered to them. And I think that for me, in this community in Boston that I've been so blessed to enter, in the spoken word community in Boston, there's so many organizations that are doing that work here about listening to young people, and I think that's where like helping starts is with listening. And if you guys will let me for 1 minute and 30 seconds bring up my group, we actually have a poem that I think reflects that a little bit. So FlatLine, y'all wanna?
Yeah, let's see FlatLine and
Flatline,
give it up again for
what is the website and Twitter for Flatline?
Oh, we don't use Twitter as FlatLine. We use Facebook. I know, we're behind the times.
So give us the address.
Twitter, which is at Lissa_Piercy, and on Facebook it's FlatLine Poetry. Facebook.com/FlatLine Poetry on Facebook.
Thank
So
you.
what is the name of this piece?
What?
What is the name of this piece?
Oh, this is called Worship, and it is, well, you'll see. But I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves really quick.
I'm sorry.
Oh, hey, I'm Kaylee O'Keefe.
Hi.
I'm Guillermo Caballero.
You have to say that name again because I missed the whole thing.
I'm Lewis Morris.
Yes.
So we're FlatLine. Hi.
Hey.
We're going to kind of squeeze in and,
We see you good, so come on in. We'd love to hear it.
All right, here we go. Ready, y'all? All right, let's do it.
Poetry is not just written. It lives beyond the silence of complex metaphors and reread stanzas. Beyond the percussion of alliterations and punctuation. We speak it.
Then feel it.
Until we know it. Poetry is the way we worship. It's not just words.
It is the pain that gives meaning to
It
them.
is a loved one that stole your senses and replaced them with a reflection of himself.
It is a child that taught you how to define nonsense without a prompt.
It is the revolution vividly depicted on the battlefield of mind.
And when I stare at this page after, it is revelation.
The truths that stick, stuck in my subconscious, find their way ink onto my page, in search of all the things my memory was too afraid to say.
And as I put this pen to the side of my temple, triggering old emotions,
I let brain send word to right hand so that ink can speak louder than vocal cords. Poetry is not just
It
written.
is scribbled, then rewritten, and crossed out, then rewritten, thought, then
Memorized and dedicated to you. But this stream is only a fraction of our interaction.
We're here to make connections.
words survive the sentences.
from big ideas to revolution.
From this stream to your living room, poetry is the way we worship.
So, tell me a story.
I found poetry in the aisles of a basement church.
In the encouragement of a teacher. In the bold type of a library flyer.
In the memory of late night phone calls.
In the cadence of 7 artist voices, I realized what it meant to feel words.
So feel it.
Because poetry is not just written.
It is heard.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Well done. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I love it. So you guys are out of Boston?
Yes, we are based in Boston. We do poetry workshops. Actually, 2 of us just went through a professional development training with a nonprofit here called Mass Leap.
Nice.
So we are trained in teaching poetry workshops.
Nice.
And we also host open mics at Wheelock and Mass Art.